total, you try to. Hi, Vanita. Good afternoon. All good? Yes. Happy to see you after a long time in offline. Shiva, did you get your copy? Not yet. Get it. Your checked copy. Your copy I have not checked since few people have actually submitted writing yesterday. You and one more, or I have checked yours. Yeah, I have checked yours. Ritik's and you submitted together, right? I have checked yours. Just take your copy. ये ईशांत कहाँ गया है? नहीं आया आज? नहीं आया. Come inside. अच्छा. आकाश ने कल सबमिट किया है. Right? वो मिलेगा कुछ दिन बाद. You have to wait. जिनको, those who have received 4 numbers need to work a lot. Those who have received 5 number for each answer, it's a good one. Those who have received 6, it is comparatively much good. And yes, we expect that the standard of answer. ठीक है? तो अलग अलग सब देख लीजिएगा. आके रख लीजिए. नॉर्मल गर्म ही है. ध्यान दीजिए. नॉर्मल पानी एक बोतल ला के रख दीजिए. बिल्कुल पानी चिल्ड था. वो मैंने बोला नॉर्मल, तो उन्होंने गर्म ला के रख दिया. गरम चिल्ड चाहिए. मैं 5-6 घंटा. I speak 6 hours a day. I can't sustain myself with that kind of chilled water. हाँ, गला जम जाएगा. We discussed UAPA, right, in the last class. मैं गर्म पानी भी पीता हूँ एकदम. बिल्कुल ठंड में तो मुझे बिल्कुल गर्म पानी चाहिए. जैसे चाय नहीं होता है, like that you take sip. हाँ, गर्म. अच्छा, that you drink more. हाँ. अच्छा, we have discussed the UAPA. Do you have any confusion? UPA is a very much draconian law, right? Now it has become a draconian law. According to the VDAM report, VDAM? VDAM is Variety of Democracy report, right? According to the report, if you look at 7,000 people have been arrested under UAPA since 2014, right? And if you look at bail is very difficult. Yesterday I was talking about PMLA, right? And in yesterday newspaper, there were 3 cases regarding PMLA. One was of Satyendra Jain. He was not, given bail because as per the law, the person who have been arrested has to prove himself that he is innocent until he is guilty, according to the law, right? And therefore, look at the court does not give bail. If you look at Manish Sisodia have applied for regular bail, court has rejected it. Right? Court had rejected it. Now, if you look at Sanjay Singh, Sanjay Singh is again from Aam Aadmi Party. He re-elected in the Rajya Sabha. Right? He is elected in the Rajya Sabha, but he's in jail. Right? Aaj ka newspaper hai, right? Under the PMLA Act. Right? So this law was very much draconian. UAPA हमने कर लिया था. Now अब जो हमारे पास आर्टिकल है बहुत कम है, and very short article we can finish in this week only, right? Not आज खत्म नहीं कर सकते. This week of course we will take. Fine. So in this week I'll try to finish fundamental right and as well as DPSP. DPSP, Directive Principle of State Policy. Now let me talk about right against exploitation. Article 23 and Article 24. That is नोट्स मैंने आज दिया है इनके पास, कल मिलेगा आपको. If I'm not forgetting anything. Natural justice taught you. अबॉर्शन एक्ट के बारे में देख लीजिएगा. अच्छा, यू नो दैट इज हुसैना खातून वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ बिहार डन ना, राइट? दैट इज डीके बासु जजमेंट डन. अच्छा, डीके बासु जजमेंट में पता चला व्हाट आर द राइट्स एन इंडिविजुअल हैव. These are the rights which is written there, right? The police has to perform certain things. They have to, you know, take arrest memo, right? They have to also, yeah, inspection report, बहुत सारे हैं, right? So you keep that. Actually, UPSC will not ask you that, but मान लो कि objective में हो सकता है दे दे कि DK Basu judgment gives legal right to a person from this. और फिर दूसरा assertion और reason वाला होता है ना, दूसरा रीजन दे दे. आर्टिकल 20 गिव्स प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ इंडिविजुअल अगेंस्ट एन ऑफेंस. नाउ assertion is right, reason is wrong. You have to fill article 22, right? Article 22 gives protection to individual in case of arrest against any offense, right? Now article 20 also gives protection, but against certain offense in terms of law, right? Law means no post facto law, right? No double jeopardy, no self incrimination. ठीक है ना? Now, yeah, what is right against exploitation? Article 23, right, which says prohibits traffic in human being, beggars, and other forms of forced labor. Prohibits human trafficking or traffic in human being, beggar is called forced labor, right? And yeah, other similar forms of forced labor, other forms of similar forced labor. Look at beggar has been abolished, right? Beggar is not, right? But look at other forms of similar labor is still existing, right? For example, if you look at you know, tea garden, right? Or bricklin, देखा ईट का भट्टा, right, where the you know labor works, but that people are not allowed to go outside. There are lots of problem occurs. Now if you look at have you heard about labor that is migrating from here and there in construction? So there is a ठेकेदार, you know, there is a ठेकेदार who have certain labor, right? उनके पास labor होता है, and this ठेकेदार takes the contract on the behalf of labor, and this contract pays labor, right? And this contract takes money from the right owner or the person who gives contract to the a person on about the labor. Now consider, can we call it is a forced labor? Can we call it is a forced labor? How? Sorry? एक एग्जांपल ले लेते हैं. Let me take an example. You have seen security guard here, diplomats. So security guard not employed here. They are employed somewhere else to any company like security guard, that is called ठेकेदार. Now these all security guard are laborer basically. They are employed, right? And basically the payment goes to this ठेकेदार from जिससे जा रहा होगा, right? और फिर ये लोग इनको देते हैं. Can we call it as a beggar? जोर से बोलो, मैं सुनता कम हूं. Beggar. Beggar नहीं है, but it is a forced labor. How? How is it forced labor? Exploitation is everywhere. सरकार भी अभी देखो, मोदी गवर्नमेंट क्या करती है, सैटरडे को भी जॉब, जो गवर्नमेंट जॉब में उनको पूछो, सैटरडे दे हैव टू गो टू जॉब, ऑन संडे दे हैव टू गो टू जॉब, राइट. ऑफिसर्स का तो बुरा हाल है, संडे सैटरडे, राइट, और कंटिन्यूसली 2 सैटरडे संडे जॉब कर रहे हैं, उसके बाद कुछ ऑफ मिलता है, उस दिन वो बंक ही मार देते हैं 20 से. अब क्या करेंगे रे? ना, यू कांट वर्क कंटिन्यूसली, राइट. एंड कुछ क्या हो रहा है, तो बस कुछ ड्रामा हो रहा है, वहां से कुछ इनॉग्रेशन हो रहा है, यू हैव टू बी प्रेजेंट देयर. एनीवे, राइट. तो काम कराया जाता है, दैट इज काम का प्रेशर है, बिकॉज ऑफ देयर इज अंडर स्टाफ. एवरी department, whether it's a public or a private, is understaffed, right? Why public is understaffed? There is a rationality of that understaffing. Why private department is understaffed? That is also rationality behind them. The behind is money. The less investment and maximum production, maximum output. कम पैसा लगेगा, ज्यादा करेंगे. For example, like according to the labor law, not Indian labor law तो बड़ा लूज है. International labor law, let me talk about 1926. Have you heard about Henry Ford? जिसकी फोर्ड की गाड़ी चलती है. On 1926, Henry Ford, right, actually decided to follow certain policy. Like for example, take 8 hours as a standard hour of working hour, as a working hour, right? Or consider take Saturday or Sunday as off, as off day. है ना, right? But Plutus does not take Saturday as off day, right? And here I not 8 hours, it is a 9 hours, right? In some cases it is a +1, it is equal to 10 hours. Let's take the example from the surroundings, right? It's not about the other private organizations also do the same. Many organizations increase, add it, and then it make 12 hours as a working hours. Let me tell you, many organizations, like many textile industries, right, or ढाबा, go to ढाबा, जो बगल वाले ढाबे में कितने घंटे की नौकरी होती है इनकी? 12 घंटे की होती है. Can we call that as a beggar or other forms of similar labor? नहीं, क्यों? Our consideration is very rash, मतलब it's a debatable. Nothing is conclusive. Nothing. It is about how you portray articulate your opinion. That doesn't matter in social science. In social science, nothing is proved. Anything can be disproved and something can be reproved. है ना? Right? So, can we call as a forced labor? नहीं कह सकते. हाँ, वो कहते बोल सकते. Sorry? पोस्ट लेबर में नहीं आएगा. उन्होंने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट साइन किया, अच्छा ठीक है. इन दोनों ने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट अकॉर्डिंग टू हर, because both have signed a contract. Anyone, since I joined Plutus, Plutus have given me offer letter. Okay, this is the structure of working in our organization. Okay, if you agree, then you join it, right? And I agreed and I joined it, right? Can it be called as a forced labor? No? Okay. Let me give you another example, right? Did I ever mention you about abortion or something? Consider A and B, both are actually a couple, right? Married couple, happily married couple, right? And but not able to reproduce child. What this did, they hired a woman. Yeah. Have you heard? Have I ever talked about surrogacy? बात किया क्या? न्यूज में पढ़ा है. ओके, सरोगेसी पढ़ा है. एवर मैंने सरोगेसी पढ़ा है आप लोगों को? नहीं पढ़ा है. आर्टिकल 21 में सरोगेसी इज prohibited in India, right? Ethical surrogacy is allowed. Surrogacy क्या था? What is surrogacy? Surrogacy is renting someone's womb, right, or one's womb to the any couple who are unable, who have no children. Now I'm giving you one example, a very interesting example, right? उसको थोड़ा analogy करने के लिए. Analogy is an approach, aptitude में होता है ना, analogy is a method to understand something. Now AB has rented a womb of P, right, for 9 months. Consider for 9 months, and P has agreed on AB condition. AB has given certain money. Consider $10,000, not rupee, or 1 lakh US dollar. Right? Now, P agreed that okay, that baby will be submitted to AB after the birth. Now, after AB has taken money, P has taken money from AB, right? 9 महीने में क्या होता है, बातें बदल जाती है. Now, P has developed emotions, very strong emotions, in favor of a child called small p, right? And the P has not ready to give child to small p to AB. Now what happened? What AB had given to the court. मैंने कभी ये क्या है बोला है आप लोग को? नहीं बोला है. अच्छा, मैंने abortion कभी आप लोग को डिस्कस नहीं किया. abortion, अच्छा, abortion तो डिस्कस कर दिया है. Abortion is a right now in India. In US, abortion, there is no ban law. So in US, what happens? Certain state allow abortion, certain state does not allow abortion, right? In India, yeah, we have already made a law. MPT, it's a Medical Pregnancy Termination Act, 1971, which allow the pregnancy termination up to 20 weeks. In 2021, that law again amended. Now, this law allow termination of pregnancy up to 20 weeks, but in certain cases, 4 weeks extension has been given to women who have been actually facing certain issue, like for example, incest or rape, right? Rape survival, or certain abnormality in womb, right? Or certain problem. What the idea? So 4 weeks has been given extension to a woman, right? That is abortion. Let me talk about, this is case of surrogacy, right? Surrogacy is also an act in India, right? Now earlier, this was allowed, but later on there was a surrogacy act. Again, 2021. We have Surrogacy Act 2021, which allow ethical surrogacy. Ethical surrogacy means, and only for Indians. पहले क्या होता था कि जो बाहर के लोग थे ना, US के और European couple used to come to India, right, for the surrogacy, but it is prohibited by the law. Now, surrogacy is allowed only for the Indian couple, right? And only the certified Indian couples who are unable to produce children, right? एक मूवी है सलमान खान और कौन, मैंने नहीं देखा है. सलमान खान की और प्रीति जिंटा की मूवी है चोरी चोरी something, yeah, right? Now that was the case of surrogacy. अच्छा, कहानी पे आते हैं. What happened? P has denied to give this small p to AB. AP went to the court. Now district court said, yes, you have made a contract, right? And then small p should be given to AB. Now this P went to the Supreme Court. Now in US it is called Supreme Court. What we call High Court. Right? What we call Supreme Court, they call Federal Court. In US, they call Federal Court, right? We call Supreme Court, they call Federal Court. We call High Court, they call Supreme Court. Because there is also judicial division. अब यहाँ पर Supreme Court में गए वो तो Supreme Court has given judgment against the district court and said the P should be returned to the P. Child should be returned to the mother. Right? Now, question is here. What was the argument of the judge in the Supreme Court was, okay, there was an agreement between A, B and P, but it was not agreement in equal circumstances. This was agreement in case of compulsion. Am I making sense? Consider I have made a sign on paper offered by Plutus, but I wanted a job. I was in a vulnerable condition. But later on I found this fair, working condition or the norms is not fair. Right? So this is based on the moral judgment. Right? There cannot be correcting. Right? Consider कि मान लीजिए कि हमने यहाँ पर गार्ड की बात करी या ढाबा पे लोगों की बात करी or even the tea garden where the laborers are actually given very small amount of money, or bricklane where the people have given small amount of money and lots of restrictions by the the contractor. आपको यहाँ से नहीं जाना है, इतने दिन में जाना है, काम complete करना है, घर let me tell you, they would love to call your family and stay everyone together here. उसके बाद और भी मना कर देंगे, किसके लिए जाओगे फैमिली यहाँ पे? Have you watched Jai Bhim? Right? Small एक segment है उसका. Bricklane, that person who go to the work in bricklane, and then there was a violence within the bricklane house. Anyway, now there is no, quantified definition of the other forms of forced labor, or the beggar. But there is one judgment given by the Supreme Court in India, and that court, the judgment name is the PUDR versus Union of India case. PUDR, PUDR का मतलब People's Union of Democratic Rights. This is an association, right, which fights for the democratic rights of the people. So PUDR versus Union of India case 1982. या 1982 में क्यों हुआ था? क्योंकि उस समय ना एशियन गेम चल रहा था. Have you heard about Asian game? India actually hosted Asian Games in 1982, and lots of construction was going on, right? Lots of people came from Bihar, Eastern UP, or Madhya Pradesh, or Rajasthan, and they worked in Delhi as a construction laborer, right? Construction laborer engaged in working, constructing bridges, the buildings, vagera, right? Stadiums, right? Now what happened? The constructor giving money to the laborer. Now the PUDR actually filed a case in Union of India in the Supreme Court, and it accused contractor of violating Article 23, right? And they talked about this kind of labor is other similar forms of labor. In this case, the Supreme Court held that if any person is paid, below the minimum wage that is decided by the law, then it is a form of beggar. It is a forced labor, right? ये लिखना है. ठीक है, इसमें दिया हुआ है क्या? PUDR का केस? नहीं है? नहीं, इसमें मैंने इसको पढ़ा नहीं है. ये मैंने आपको बताया लेने के लिए मैंने पढ़ा. अच्छा, इसमें नहीं है. बंधुआ मुक्ति मोर्चा भी बताऊंगा. इसमें नहीं है. There is no Supreme Court judgment. Yeah. So in PUDR Union of India case 1992, लिखिए, the Supreme Court held that in PUDR versus Union of India case, the Supreme Court held that any wage less than minimum wage, any wage less than minimum wage received by workers can be called as beggar or forced labor. Forced labor. Right? Now, if you look at there is a minimum wage act. Each state has their different wage, minimum wage act. Delhi has different minimum wage act. Uttar Pradesh has different minimum wage act. Maharashtra has different minimum wage act. Right? So now it varies from state to state, the beggar labor. Right? And any contractor or any employer has to pay above the minimum wage. ठीक है, जो मिनिमम वेज लॉ है उससे ज्यादा देना पड़ेगा. Any contractor or any employer have to pay the above wage than the minimum wage defined by the act, the law of the land. Right? Now, ठीक है, apart from it, if you look at Article 23 prohibits traffic मतलब traffic in human being. Yeah, human trafficking is not, it's prohibited, right? है ना? Human trafficking is prohibited, यानी कि buying or selling of human being. Human trafficking मतलब क्या होता है? Buying or selling होता है. If you look at have you heard about prostitution? Many women, especially the children, right? Especially women children, have been trafficked from the so-called comparatively backward state of India to the the so-called comparatively developed state of India, like from Bihar or from Nepal or from Odisha, from eastern UP to Delhi or Mumbai or other part of India. And what happened, if you look at when the contractor, and there is a nexus, let me tell you, there is a nexus, there is a group, right, which work collectively on it, right? They go to the village and then tell कि मैं मुझे ले जाने दे इन बच्चे को, कोठी में काम है, कोठी मतलब jobs के, या there are good jobs in in city, there are people who are highly educated, highly good in behavior, and they will good job, they will live like a queen, right? Okay, right? Or of course look at the poverty level they live, right? And they agree, after some time they agree, they agree with the inducement, right? They receive from the contractor और उनको भेज देते हैं, and that person has been brought to Delhi or Mumbai or other big cities, and that then there was a involved in prostitutions, right? Or the forced labor at the same time, right? ब्रिकलिन में लाते हैं, झूठ बोल बोल के लाते हैं, वहां पर ऐसा काम होगा वैसा काम होगा, बाद में पता चलता है जाकर के. Now let me tell you one international beggar. Have you heard about लोग जाते हैं Middle East? Yeah, there is a lots of passion among the people. Middle East जाएंगे, वहां पर काम करेंगे. One of my relatives said I'll go there, वहां पर काम है. मैंने कहा कि तुम यहाँ पर काम नहीं मिलता. If you don't have capacity to take job in India, what quality you have that any Bahrain or Oman or UAE, right, will offer you job? नहीं, there is a contractor, हाँ, they उसने बोला ऐसा है वैसा है. Let me tell you, they are living like a bonded labor. They are bonded labor basically, right? They are not allowed to come to India. They are local contractor, right? They are compelled to work, right? And if you look at their actually geographical condition and weather is different. राइट। वहां पर 12 बजे इतनी ज्यादा धूप हो जाती है ना मिडिल ईस्ट में, राइट, इट बिकम्स अ प्रॉब्लमेटिक टू वर्क, right, and they would live in like a very sandy town, right, of course they give some wages, of course, right, और वहां का जो wages है, you know, वहां पर रियाद में their currency is very high, right, रियाद ना, yeah, so they get certain money and they can save money even if they can 1,000 riyal, that is a multiple times of Indian rupees. So when they come to India, right, उनके पास पैसा होता है, there is no issue at all. But that, I'm talking about the working condition, right? This is simply bonded labor, right? It is a subjective question. Bonded labor is not defined except the Supreme Court has defined in this. Now, let me give you example. During COVID-19, if you know, Uttar Pradesh actually loosened the law of labor, and it made a law that allowed the employer and employee to agree on the 10, timing. 8 घंटा कराना है या 10 घंटे कराना है या 12 घंटे कराना है. I think this is very simply, if you are not following the working standard hour, this is a something the bonded labor, I feel, because when you say that there's an agreement between two parties, then always agreement between two parties should be on equal term and equal footing, right? Otherwise, what happens? There is a mass labor of army. It's called labor army, right? The mass of labor army. There are much unemployed people. There are queue, isn't it? There are queue, and people will agree even if you say that okay, 15 hours karna hai. There are people who will agree to okay, 15 hours karna hai. They have to feed their family. Yes. कौन? हाँ हाँ ऐसा होता है. सी जो भी ये है, क्या नाम है, टर्म एंड कंडीशन है. इफ यू हैव साइन देन यू हैव टू फॉलो द टर्म एंड कंडीशंस. Otherwise, either of the party can go to the court. Either of the party now, can go to the court and claim that other party is unjust. What is court? What is court of law? It ensures justice, right? They may follow natural justice or they may follow the contract of the organization. हाँ, देखो ये बड़ा ही ethical question है. It's a very ethical and open-ended question. Nothing is defined. Am I making sense? Nothing is defined. It depends on the judge who can define something as a forced labor. ठीक है? होएगा ही, ऑफ कोर्स. अब देखो, मैं यूरोप में संडे सैटरडे, अब ये चल रही है, अब बात ये चल रहा है कि ओनली 4 days एज अ वर्किंग आवर. दैट इज इन यूरोप. मंडे, ट्यूसडे, वेडनेसडे एंड थर्सडे. नो, फ्राइडे, सैटरडे, संडे ऑफ. यूरोप में, राइट? Companies are being benefited by 4 days working in a week. Otherwise, foreign में होता है, I'm talking about Britain. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday half day, then Wednesday half day, then Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday off. This is also one routine that is followed in UK. प्लूटस में फॉलो होना चाहिए. आप ही बोलोगे सर कहाँ पे हैं, हम लोगों ने पैसा दिया है, सैटरडे भी क्लास चलेगा, राइट? समटाइम्स आई फील sometimes I feel कि हम लोग, we also spend money ना, right? I have a kid and then उनको क्लास में पढ़ाते हैं स्कूल में, and we pay more than year, more than a year what Plutus is charged to a student. Look at the education, how education has become so much costly. नहीं, right? तो 5 दिन दो, और उनका तो अभी भी स्कूल बंद है. लेट मी टेल यू, मेरा जो किड है उसका भी अभी भी स्कूल बंद है. 5 मार्च को हुआ स्कूल बंद, उसके बाद खुलेगा अप्रैल में, 5 अप्रैल से 7 अप्रैल को. ठीक है, उसके बाद फिर से पेमेंट कर दिया, स्कूल खुल गया, फिर से मई जून 2 महीने फिर छुट्टी. January it was a छुट्टी, right? Saturday there is छुट्टी. every मतलब हर 15 दिन में गजेटेड हॉलीडे तो मतलब ऑलरेडी है. देन कुछ भी हुआ, थोड़ा सा हीट हुआ, डीएम का वो आ जाता है, डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट गाइडलाइन, नॉट टू ओपन दिस स्कूल इन दिस समर हीट. यू हैव टू फॉलो दैट, राइट? और वो हमारा दिमाग खाता है, मतलब हमारा तो नहीं, ऑफ कोर्स माय बेटर हाफ इज ऑलरेडी एंगेज्ड इन दैट, तो उसमें उनका दिमाग खराब होता है. एनीवे, चलो, that is article 23, right? Let me tell you that forced labor is not, except this, there is no forced labor defined. ठीक है? Otherwise you'll get notes I have sent today. I don't know whether you'll get it today or tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. प्रिंटर ठीक है, मुझे नहीं पता, प्रिंटर ठीक है शायद, अब ठीक हो गया होगा. अच्छा, प्रिंटर गिफ्ट दोगे सारे मिलके? बहुत महंगा आता है वो प्रिंटर. प्लूटस को तो चाहिए क्या, उनको बोलो, वो बोले दे दो, एक क्या तुम दो दे दो, ऐसा करो. हाँ, एक वहां दे दो कि यहाँ ले लो, दे दो. I can, yes, I can understand. Anyway, now one more thing, यही बात कहता है. One more thing this article says that if article 24 कहता है compulsory military education के बारे में, state, या यही आर्टिकल कहता है कि state can enforce compulsory military services to Indian people, right? State impose compulsory service for public purposes like military services or social services, and it cannot be called bounded labor. ये भी है. In this article क्या है? Article 23, exempt state to impose compulsory service. Service like military or social services, right? In this matter, state shall follow the principle of non-discrimination. Principle of non-discrimination. What does it mean? A state shall not discriminate any individual in order to impose any services. It will be imposed equally to all, right? There will be no community, segregation. ठीक है? हाँ. Principle of non-discrimination on the basis of only of religion, race, caste, and class. Non-discrimination on only of race, caste, religion, religion or class. Now look at another discrimination can be possible. For example, age, physical fitness, gender, yeah. ये दिमाग में रखना है. State can impose compulsory service, right? And it will not discriminate any individual only of race, caste, religion, and class. It can do differentiate, discriminate regarding compulsory service on the basis of gender, age, और क्या हो सकता है? Physical fitness, for example. Sorry? Place of birth, yeah. Place of birth, yeah. Exactly. Educational qualification and so on and so forth, right? So that is Article 23. Now let me move to Article 24. Article 24, which prohibits employment of children below the age of 14 years in any factory, mines, and other hazardous activities. prohibits the employment of children below the age of 14 years in any factory, mine, or other hazardous activities. Hazardous activities like construction work or railway, right? Okay. So it actually prohibits employment of children, right? Where within the age of 14 years in factory, mines, and other hazardous activity. It does not prohibit employment of children in drama, in cinema. Cinema mein, you know, sir, there are many child actors. हाँ, कुछ पूछना चाहते हो? Social सर्विसेज जैसे मान लीजिए कि अर्थक्वेक आ गया and there is we need lots of human resources, right? Now state can impose. मान लीजिए flood आ गया बहुत ज्यादा, right? And we need volunteers, right? We can impose कि okay, इतना एज से इतना एज तक you have to be involved. That is called social services. हाँ, कुछ ऐसा आ गया, हॉस्पिटल्स को मैनेज करना है या कुछ कैरी आउट करना है या कुछ असिस्ट करना है, लाइक food assistance is a one of the major things during calamity, any calamity that you talk about, whether war or flood or earthquake. Food is a certain food and water, certain two essential goods that should be reached at earliest. Nahin? If you look at Gaza, Gaza is on the verge of famine, if you are aware of that. Gaza, the strip जो है उनका Gaza strip, it is on the verge of famine, right? And United Nations has said if the assistance does not reach to the Gaza, it may face famine. Half of the population may die. Right? आज भी आया है news में, you must watch. So social services can be any services for the social good, right? Food, water, right? Medical assistance, so on and so forth. Right. It prohibits employment of children. It does not prohibit. It does not prohibit employment of children. Of children in any sphere that leads to development of children, development of personality of children, like drama, cinema. आप कह भी सकते हैं ना कि ड्रामा में you cannot engage, cinema, right, and so on. Drama, cinema, or certain dance practice, dance competition, right? Now apart from this, there are Child Labor Act 1986, right, which prohibits the children as a labor. Now that was amended in 2016, right? That is called Child Labor Amendment Act 2016, which also prohibits employment of children in, right, employment of children in several factories. ठीक है, लिखिए तो the child labor prohibition and regulation. Child labor Prohibition and Regulation Act. Prohibition and Regulation Act 1986, amended in 2016, which prohibits employment of children. Employment of children, even on ढाबा, right? किसी भी कहीं पर, या family shop or on family shop bracket में लिखिएगा during school. During school hours, you cannot employ your children on even your own family shop, right? Otherwise, they can sit at your shop, beyond this study hour, right? And playing hour. Playing, of course, you have to allow children to play, right? Now we have national child policy. वो governance में पढ़ाया जाएगा. The national child policy, देखना ये कब आया था? National child policy 2017 में. The national child policy दोनों actually if you look at the basic information you'll get here, right? वहां पर थोड़ा डिटेल्स में रहेगा. It is a policy level. Governance में policy policy पढ़ाते, state की programs policy. Child कब आया था? Child national child policy 2017 नहीं मिला. पहली बार आया था 1974 में. गूगल से पूछो ना, गूगल कुछ और बता देता है. 2013 में बता रहा है. हर जगह 2013 ही बता रहा है. ओके, मुझे भी देखना पड़ेगा फिर, राइट? मैं कुछ और पॉलिसी ले रहा हूं. एनीवे, नेशनल चाइल्ड पॉलिसी वाज फ्रेम्ड in 1974 and in 2013, which focus on all around development of children, around development of children. Something fishy. Anyway, ठीक है? That is done. Article 16. नेशनल चाइल्ड पॉलिसी 2017 में भी आया था. 16 दिखा रहा ना. एनीवे, टाइम बदल जाएगा, राइट? ना मैं भी देख रहा हूँ गूगल पे 2013 दिखा रहा है, तो प्राइमा फेसी है 2013. अदरवाइज मेरे दिमाग में 2017 आ रहा था. We'll check the, क्या आ रहा है? 16 वाला भी आ रहा है. Maybe, yeah, it may be. Just check it. The year. Maybe 2017 was the year when the national child policy, and it focused multi-pronged strategy to develop children. This policy, actually announces that child is a future of any country, right? And therefore, the country is committed to develop all around, development of children, very inclusive. And it also considers that child is not a homogeneous category. There are scheduled tribe. If you look at, certain labor, for example, if you look at child labor, right? Child labor की बात हो रही है. Approximately, 10% of India's children are engaged in child labor, right? And 80% are from Dalit community, right? From SC community. So of course, child is not a homogeneous category. Further, you will study in governance. Okay? The several child policy of India's government. ये हमारा काम खत्म हो गया. Now the next is fundamental right to freedom of religion. Sorry? टेस्ट में कौन सी टेस्ट? This week you want to face test. Article I'll ask a subject question and article क्या है? जितना पढ़ाऊंगा आर्टिकल यहाँ तक, आर्टिकल 25 28 तक, नहीं ज्यादा नहीं हो जाएगा, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होगा ज्यादा. अब सोचो यूपीएससी जब पूरा पूछेगी तो क्या करोगे? इतना तो तैयार रखो जितना हमने पढ़ा दिया है, और इतना ऐसे जल्दी जल्दी भाग तो नहीं रहा हूं मैं. वेरी स्मूथली आई एम गोइंग, राइट? हाँ, राइट टू फ्रीडम ऑफ religion. Article 25 to 28. We need to discuss one by one. Right. Now, if you look at Article 25, now this, Article 25 gives right to freedom to religion to individual. Right. So it says all person. It says Article 25 says all persons are equally entitled to freedom of conscience, and have a right to freely profess, practice, and propagate religion. Right? इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? If you look at all individuals have following rights. अगर हम इसको थोड़ा सा ये करें, सर्जरी करें, all individuals have following rights. First, right to freedom of conscience, right to freedom of conscience. अच्छा, freedom of conscience मतलब क्या होता है? What do you mean freedom of conscience? चेतना क्या? किस मन की इच्छा थोड़ा टेम्पटेशन हो जाता है. मन की इच्छा तो आज करेगा कि मन करे चलो थोड़ा सा, सॉरी, yeah, inner voice of a person, right? Whether to follow or whether not to follow. That is inner conscience. Inner, the right to freedom of conscience means, the inner voice of a person. Inner voice of a person, right? In relation to their god, right, or nature. Now, if you look at in Hinduism, we follow polytheism, right? Polytheism ke follow karte. In Islam, they are follow monotheism. In Christianity, also monotheism. If you talk about tribal, what religion they follow? Yeah, so that is called, what is called? Following, believing in nature, believing that even, the mountain has soul, right? What it is? It is called, have you heard about it? Animism. Worshipping nature, believing that even plant have soul, right? How tribes are different from the rest part of the India, right? The rest part of India is the caste India, right? Where the caste is a major characteristics. Tribes are little different, right? The castes are majorly part of Hinduism, right, or Brahmanism, whatever you say. But tribes follow animism, right? Animism क्या होता है? Right, worshipping nature basically, right? So freedom of conscience means you follow your inner voice, whether you to follow, whether you have to follow a nature or not to follow the nature, right, or follow sun as a god, depends on, right? Then second right, it gives right to freely profess, freely profess any religion, right? Third, it gives you right to practice any religion, right to practice any religion. And fourth rights, it gives you right to propagate any religion, right to propagate any religion. Now it gives individual right. All individuals have, all यहाँ person लिखा हुआ है, right? All persons have following rights: right to freedom of conscience, right to freely profess any religion, right to practice any religion, and right to propagate any religion. Right? Now, if you look at this right is restricted. Now, this right is not absolute right. Let me tell you. This right to freedom of religion to individual is not absolute in nature. It is restricted on grounds of morality. There are three. There are morality, yeah, public order, health, and other provisions actually, mentioned in the article 19, clause 2 to clause 6. Right? So, this article 25, you know, subject to restrictions, subject to restrictions on following grounds, on following grounds, right? क्या है ground? एक तो है हमारा public order, so you cannot follow any religion which disturbs the public order. Second is morality. The second is morality. Third is health. हेल्थ, ये याद रखना है, पता है, इससे ज्यादा इसको याद रखना है कि किस किस ऑन व्हाट ग्राउंड्स there are restrictions on article 25, right? And fourth is article 19 clause 2 to clause, थोड़ा मुझे और बैराक देना, थोड़ा मुझे सस्पिशन, मैं अपना सस्पिशन दूर कर लूं. Subject to public morality, health and other provision in this part. In this part matlab part 3, right? In this part का मतलब यहाँ पे देखो, subject to public order, morality and health and to the other provision in this part. Okay, this part matlab the part 3. All persons are equally entitled to freedom of conscience, freedom to profess, freedom to practice and freedom to propagate any religion. Now one more point you write, इसका restriction लिख लिया, not it done. Now one more provision you write, a state can make any law, a state can make any law, a state can make any law to regulate economic, financial, political and other activity associated with religious activities. State can make some law in order to regulate economic, financial, political and other activity which is associated with religious activity. Let me tell you one example. Have you heard about that temple, that is Hanuman temple in Banaras? Very famous, Sankat Mochan temple, where priest is appointed by state, right? Or for example, look at the Katra mein hai Vaishno Devi. Have you heard of Vaishno Devi? Right? There is a Vaishno Devi board that is appointed by the state itself, right? In order to regulate the activities, right? Because it is associated with the particular religion, right? Now, one more, right? In addition, a state can also make law. In addition, next point, in addition, a state can also make law. A state can make also law in order to provide social welfare, in order to provide social welfare and social reform related to Hindus. Okay, for instance, opening of Hindu temple for all classes. For example, opening of Hindu temple for all classes. ठीक है? एक और पॉइंट लिखिए, नेक्स्ट पॉइंट यू राइट, लिखिए wearing and carrying kripan is included in the profession of Sikh religion. Wearing and carrying kripan is included. Wearing and carrying kripan is included in the profession of Sikh religion. Right? हो गया? One more line. The term Hindu denotes, denotes, or implies the term implies or denotes, the term Hindu denotes or implies Sikh, Jains, and Buddhist. The term Hindu implies Jain, Sikh, and Buddhist. Right? Now, secularism I have taught you, right? Secularism I have taught you. Let me teach you. टाइम है हमारे पास. Doctrine of essentialism. Doctrine of essentialism. What is this doctrine basically? Now, if you look at this doctrine had been issued by the court in 1954 in one case, Sirur Mutt case. And here Supreme Court has defined what is essential practice within our religion. That is protected by Article 25. Now recently hijab case was going on, hijab discussion was going on whether a woman should be allowed to wear hijab or not, or मान लो कि मैं तिलक लगा के आ जाता हूँ, right? I follow कि तिलक लगाना चाहिए और मैं आ जाता हूँ, right? Whether that should be allowed or not. Or let me tell you, France does not allow that. France does not allow that. Yeah, right? Now, but in India, it was allowed. It was allowed, right? Like कोई टर्बन पहन के आ गया, या कोई हाथ में कंगन, या इसने देखो इसने हाथ में पहना हुआ है, हाथ में धागा पहन के आ गया, right? That we do, right? कोई गले में कुछ पहन के आ गया, some type. That shows religious, religious symbolism, right? You can say that. और कोई कपड़ा पहन के आ गया, कोई कपड़ा मतलब हिजाब लेके आ गया. Now recently it was allowed in India, but it is not protected under Article 25. Let me tell you. But that is not protected. This is not protected under Article 25. Right? What is doctrine of essentialism? Doctrine of essentialism says that only essential practices within religion is protected by Article 25. Doctrine of essentialism says only essential practices within religion, is protected by the Article 25. When you say that right to practice, then only essential practices within that religion. Let me tell you, within Sikh, there is a 5K. Kanga, Kada, Kripan, Kes, Charua, और एक और है. There are 5th. Kanga, Kes, Kripan, Kacha. These 5K are essential part in Islam. Similarly, if you look at Sikh. Yes. Now, if you look at in Islam, there are again here there are 5 essential things like zakat. Zakat means to give a certain donation, right? Ramjan, nowadays it is going on. Ramjan, right? Then Hajj, and then right namaz, praying namaz, believing in one God. These are the essential practices within Islam, and that is protected by Indian Constitution, and rest are not protected. It depends on the state. State may allow it, state may prohibit it. Making sense? Now, if you look at Supreme Court judge, not Supreme Court, Karnataka High Court had given judgment in favor of the state law which prohibited the hijab in the school. Now, school is considered as a public place where secular character of students, secular character should be the reflection rather than, any religious denomination. Or am I making sense? लिखिए doctrine of essentialism. लिखिए doctrine, yeah, it implies doctrine of essentialism, right? It implies few essential practices in any particular religion. It implies few essential practices of any particular religion, like yeah, for example, Sikh community practices 5K. For example, Sikh community practices 5K. 5K के बाद हाइफन कड़ा, कृपान, केश means yeah, kesh means hair, right? Kada means bracelet, huh? Kada means bracelet, Asha. Yeah, kada, kesh means hair. Kacha means the half pant, right? And kripan is just like a sword, right? A small sword. And one more, comb, yeah, kanga, comb, right? In Islam, in Islam, essential practices involves prayers, charity, comma, pilgrimage, हज लिख सकते हो, हज जाते हैं ना, no? Every Islamic practitioners actually have dream to go to Hajj, right? So that is a pilgrimage. Fasting like Ramadan or Ramjan, I don't, matlab, yeah, Ramadan is, both are equal. I'm not a specialist, religion specialist, right? Ramjan, faith in one religion, faith in one God, yeah. These are the essential practices, right? लिखिए, Supreme Court in Shirur Mutt case, Shirur MUTTH Mutt case, या केवल MUTT होगा, case 1954, Supreme Court in Shirur Mutt case, Supreme Court has defined doctrine of essential practice, or doctrine of essentialism. The Supreme Court has defined doctrine of essentialism. The Supreme Court has defined doctrine of essentialism. So इसमें भी है essential religious practices. इसमें बहुत सारे केस दिए हुए हैं. आज के लिए इतना ही, right? And tomorrow we'll move to article 26. ये लीजिए. यहीं पर I'll stop here. See you.